Some of today's most baffling mysteries involve people who vanish without a trace, only to return decades later. In this episode, we explore 3 haunting cases, yet the strangest twist comes when these missing persons resurface decades later. Vasile Gorgos. At 63, Vasile Gorgos lived in eastern Romania, known as a cattle farmer and trader. He regularly embarked on business trips, always maintaining contact with his family. On a fateful day in 1991, Vasile had already bought his train ticket for a routine journey. Though often away, he was reliable, returning exactly when expected and keeping in touch. But this time, Vasile vanished after leaving for his trip, leaving his family in deepening despair as years passed with no sign of him. Police investigations yielded no leads, leaving the case cold and unresolved. They resigned themselves to the grim possibility that he might never return, fearing that if he had died, it was neither peaceful nor accidental. Yet in a stunning twist, 30 years later, on August 29, 2021, Vasile reappeared at his family home. A car arrived and outstepped 93-year-old Vasile, clad in the very clothes he wore the day he disappeared. He carried no new belongings, only his original train ticket and identification found in his pocket. Remarkably, he showed no signs of neglect or mistreatment. Curiously, Vasile had not driven the car himself. It sped away before anyone could question him or glimpse the driver. Family members struggled to recall the license plate, adding to the mystery. When pressed about his long absence, Vasile simply stated he had been home. Medical exams confirmed he was in good health for his age, apart from minor neurological issues. His memories from before 1991 remained largely intact. He had outlived his wife and was born in 1928 into a respected family of merchants. However, he struggled to recognize his 2 children, likely due to the passage of time. Despite repeated questioning, Vasile could not recall what had happened on that August day when he vanished. Without clear answers, amateur sleuths flooded social media with theories. Some speculated he abandoned his past for a new life, only returning to reconcile before his health failed. Others suggested he had spent decades in prison but concealed this from his family. This theory stemmed from the fact he wore the same clothes from the day he disappeared. Another chilling possibility was that he was kidnapped and forced into hard labor for 30 years. Vasile's son admitted initial disbelief upon seeing his father again. He confessed to local media that they struggled to understand him. Vasile's words were often incoherent. He spoke of cattle trading days, yet answered different questions than those asked. His son wondered who might have kept him. Perhaps he was forced to work living a hidden life. To this day, Vasile's 3 decades of absence remain an unsolved enigma. His whereabouts between 1991 and 2021 continue to baffle investigators and family alike. Gabrielle Naggy. Gabrielle Naggy vanished on January 21, 1987 in Sydney, Australia. At the time, he was an accounting student attending night classes while working days. Gabrielle was also a devoted father to 2 young children, Jennifer 9 and Stephen 11. On the day he disappeared, he called his wife Pam to say he would be home for lunch. Although Pam prepared his meal, Gabrielle never returned. The next day, police contacted the family after Gabrielle's car was found abandoned and burned on a roadside. Terrified, Pam filed a missing persons report, fearing for his safety. Gabrielle was known as a punctual and reliable man. If delayed, he always made sure to call. His failure to come home and the discovery of his burned car deepened Pam's fears. Weeks of searching followed, with missing person posters plastered across the city. Police found one clue when they discovered Gabrielle had withdrawn cash from an ATM in Newcastle, 93 miles from Sydney. Why he was there remained a mystery. Pam could not explain his presence in Newcastle, and the investigation stalled without further leads. Gabrielle Naggy remained missing for 2 decades. During that time, his children grew into adults and started families of their own. Though the family moved homes, Pam ensured their listings remained in the phone book, hoping Gabrielle might reach out someday. As 2 years turned to 5, then 10, then 20, the family braced for the worst. Remarkably, just 2 weeks before Gabrielle was to be declared legally dead, the lead detective reopened the case for one final review. This search uncovered a Medicare record in Gabrielle's name, reigniting hope. Authorities arrived unannounced at Gabrielle Naggy's residence, beginning a new chapter in a perplexing case. At that time, Gabrielle sometimes identified himself as Ron Sanders, a name that hinted at a fractured identity. He was living in Mackay, nearly 1,000 miles from the location where his abandoned car was discovered, deepening the mystery. Gabrielle struggled to recall any details of his past. His memory, a blank canvas. He survived by taking on odd jobs aboard fishing boats and at construction sites, revealing that he had lived under the alias Ron Sanders for many years before recently reclaiming his true identity. Gabrielle recalled being in Newcastle, the very place where his car was found, and mentioned a bleeding head wound that haunted his memory. He revealed a scar at the back of his head, a silent witness to trauma that possibly caused his memory loss. The last 2 decades had been a relentless struggle for him. At times he found shelter on the streets or beaches, leaning on alcohol as a fragile support. A compassionate local pastor had recently stepped in, offering him work and lodging, and assisted Gabrielle in obtaining a Medicare card for necessary surgery. Gabrielle later recounted to the Chronicle Mail how a detective bombarded him with questions while showing him photographs that sparked flickers of recognition. He likened the experience to a cartoon with flashbulbs igniting above people's heads, illuminating forgotten faces. Among the items handed to him were letters from his daughter Jennifer, his wife Pam, and his parents. That very day, Gabrielle sat down to write heartfelt responses to the letters that bridged years of silence. In the days that followed, a text message from his daughter arrived. It simply said, "Hi, Dad," a message that broke through his defenses and moved him to tears. She assured him she had finished her letter and still held love for him. Minutes later, the phone rang and it was Pam reaching out. Their conversation stretched on until the battery died, reconnecting a fractured family. Experts believe Gabrielle developed dissociative fugue, a severe memory loss disorder triggered by the traumatic car accident. Though separated by distance, Gabrielle maintained constant contact with his wife, children, and parents, slowly rebuilding bonds. Mary Day entered the world in Little Falls, New York in 1968 as the eldest of 3 daughters born to Charles and Charlotte Day. Her early years were marked by hardship and instability. With a mother often unable to care for her children, Mary and her sisters spent much of their childhood cycling through foster homes. Following her parents' divorce, Charlotte remarried William Hall, an Army soldier. Charlotte gained full custody of Mary and her sister Kathy, while William and Charlotte had 2 children together. Their youngest sister, Sherry, remained in foster care and was eventually adopted by her foster family. In 1978, the family moved to Hawaii due to William's military assignment shortly after tragedy struck when Charles, Mary, and Kathy's biological father died in an accident, leaving an inheritance the sisters cryptically called Mohawk. In 1980, at just 12 years old, Mary was removed from Charlotte and William's care after William was found to have physically abused her. While the rest of the family relocated to Seaside, California, Mary remained behind in Hawaii. Eventually, she was sent back to live with her mother and stepfather once more. Mary was last seen on July 15, 1981. Yet neither Charlotte nor William reported her missing. William and Charlotte later claimed Mary was gone by the next morning. When Kathy inquired about her sister's whereabouts, Charlotte dismissed it, insisting Mary had run away and forbidding further questions. It was not until 1994, more than a decade later, that Sherry filed an official missing persons report for Mary. Sherry disclosed to 48 Hours that when she questioned her mother, she heard the same story told to Kathy, that Mary had simply run away. In some accounts, Charlotte alleged Mary had fallen into drug use and prostitution. She even claimed to have destroyed all photos of her eldest daughter. Kathy later confided that discussing Mary was strictly forbidden within the family. Despite Sherry's efforts, the case made little progress. An age-progressed photo of Mary was created and circulated. Yet it was not until 2002 that an official investigation was launched. Police discovered that neighbors in Seaside had no memory of Mary and did not recognize her image. Furthermore, she had never been enrolled in any local school. When investigators interviewed Kathy, new details emerged. The night before Mary vanished, William brutally assaulted her, accusing her of poisoning his dog, causing severe injuries, as reported by CB. Kathy herself had been cast out of the family home at age 14, forced to survive alone. Meanwhile, Sherry reported that their mother once confided knowledge of remote locations in California, where a body could be buried and never found. This chilling revelation led Sherry to suspect Mary had been murdered. Charlotte and William were inconsistent and evasive during police interviews. Charlotte professed little knowledge about Mary's disappearance beyond the claim that she had run away. She asserted that William had filed a missing persons report in 1981, yet police had no record of it. William claimed to have reported Mary missing via phone call, but again no official record existed. Under scrutiny, William admitted to assaulting Mary the night before she vanished. In 1983, Charlotte falsely told Sherry that they had actively searched for Mary and distributed flyers, efforts that never actually occurred. The couple's failure to report Mary missing has been speculated to stem from their cashing of her Social Security benefits. Charlotte's chilling words to investigators were blunt: if Mary was dead, then so be it. Kathy confirmed this grim sentiment, revealing the cold family indifference that shadowed Mary's disappearance. She and her siblings had been warned never to approach a certain corner of the garden while playing outside, a detail that soon drew the attention of investigators. Guided by her authorities focused on that very corner where cadaver dogs reportedly detected the faint scent of human remains. When police began digging, they uncovered a child's shoe. Yet no human remains were found at the scene. Later, cadaver dogs alerted law enforcement to an area near the family's previous residence in Fort Ord. This led authorities to theorize that the body once buried at the family home in Seaside might have been exhumed and moved during the family's relocation. The investigation took a dramatic turn in 2005. As authorities prepared a case against William Hall and Charlotte Day, a routine traffic stop in November that year altered everything. A truck was stopped for having stolen license plates. Police requested identification from the passengers inside. One passenger presented an Arizona state ID bearing the name Mary Day. The ID included Mary's date of birth and other critical details. During questioning, the woman claimed to be Mary Day, who had disappeared in 1981 at just 13 years old. She claimed to have fled abuse, but investigators doubted her story due to her thick Southern accent, unlike Mary's teenage voice and her recently issued ID. Faced with uncertainty, investigators turned to DNA testing, comparing her genetic material to Charlotte Day's. The results confirmed she was indeed Charlotte's biological daughter. Despite lingering doubts, the DNA evidence was undeniable. Mary's sister, Sherry Day, extended an invitation for her to live with her in North Carolina. Together, they reunited with their sister, Kathy Day, but troubling questions continued to shadow the case. Both Sherry and investigators grappled with why Mary spoke with a pronounced Southern accent. Sherry also noticed mail addressed to Monica Devore, arriving for Mary, an alias sharing the same initials as her real name, possibly explaining the mystery. Kathy harbored her own suspicions. Mary seemed unaware of their father's inheritance or the family's code word Mohawk used to discuss it. She also failed to recall William Hall's accusations that Mary had poisoned his dog. Police voiced their concerns, suggesting that Mary might be a biological child of Charlotte's, whom she and William had posed as Mary Day to evade prosecution. They alleged Charlotte had multiple affairs during her marriages, possibly bearing a secret child. Then in 2017, Mary disclosed to a reporter that a woman named Marie Kimmel had taken her in shortly after she fled home. Mary lived with Marie for a year before running away once again. Relatives of Marie Kimmel provided investigators with a photograph of Mary from 1982, proving that Charlotte Day and William Hall could not have killed her in 1981. Furthermore, Mary had required surgery in the months before her 2005 discovery, explaining her recently issued state ID. A local nonprofit had helped secure her birth certificate to facilitate this. With these revelations, investigators closed the case, and Sherry accepted that the woman claiming to be Mary Day was truly her sister. Mary passed away shortly after in 2017 at the age of 49. These are the facts of the case. Viewers are encouraged to share their thoughts and reactions. Remember to like and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you for watching. Stay alert, stay safe, and until next time.